Hello, all. It's your fuzzy little pal Franklin. Now, I'm going to be very upfront and tell you without hesitation that I have finished almost nothing that I thought might be finished by the time of this episode. The top down sweater is still two balls of yarn and a needle waiting together in a bag. The edging for the Victorian shawl, which actually you can see over my shoulder, it's longer, but still only about 10% of the length it needs to be. I'm happy to say, though, that this isn't because I've been sick again, or that I've just been too lazy, or that I've got bored with the works in progress. It's because I got to travel. I mean, real travel to somewhere quite distant from here, not just a trip to the grocery store, which for this past year has felt to me like a special occasion. I needed to dress up and get excited to get produce. So, what happened is this. My father got fully vaccinated, and then I got fully vaccinated. Then my younger sister and brother-in-law got fully vaccinated. And in our immediate family, that left only my niece, who is still a bit too young at this point to be vaccinated. When we realized this, my father suggested that he and I drive from the Midwest, where we both live, to the East Coast, where my sister and her family live, to have the sort of visit that we've been missing greatly since the pandemic hit. It was a good visit. I hadn't seen my sister's part of the family for almost 2 years, and I'm very fond of my niece, who is the kind of kid who gives you hope for the future. She reminds me a lot of myself at her age, up to and including her passion for books. She and I had one particularly touching exchange when she said that she didn't have enough bookshelves, and I explained to her, as gently as possible, that she is never going to have enough bookshelves, and she's just going to have to learn to live with that. I believe in being honest with young people, even when the truth may hurt a bit. So we celebrated being together with a lot of family favorite things, including a batch of cookies made according to a recipe that has come down to us through my mother's side. Here's a look at them, and I will tell you they taste even better than they look. These are the first thing I ever baked by myself with my sister as sous chef. Now, before you ask, the recipe isn't in the description below, and it isn't publicly available anywhere because it's kind of a family secret, and my sister has promised to shoot out my kneecaps if I share it with anybody, and she has very good aim. I did quite a bit of knitting and embroidery during the visit, but of course I wanted to focus most on spending time with the family. So here I am, back again, back to work. And you might be wondering what it is that I'm knitting right now. Here's the deal. So, the Victorian shawl is going to be a membership benefit for my Patreon patrons. When the sample is finished, and only then, I can finish writing the pattern and have the pattern tech edited, and then give it to the patrons. But the edging, which is lovely, by the way, and just chock full of maneuvers that make me say wow, and I've seen a lot of lace edgings, that edging is going to take a while to finish. And I hated the thought of my patrons just kind of sitting there with no new pattern. So this is an interim pattern for something simpler and faster to knit that they'll get as kind of a snack while I finish the shawl. This is also a 19th century pattern and a really fun one, but that's all I can say here until it's ready. I will tell you about the yarn, though. This is from Northlight Fibers, and it came from the super fancy part of my stash. If you don't know Northlight Fibers, well, they're friends of mine. They're based on Block Island off the coast of Rhode Island. If you have never been, a visit to Block Island is a pretty spectacular trip back in time. There are these voluptuous old hotels, especially overlooking the sea, and that is just my kind of thing. And if that weren't enough, Northlight Fibers has a mill and a retail shop and a classroom just a short walk from town. So I've been fortunate enough to work with Northlight Fibers twice. When they were collaborating with Vogue Knitting Magazine on a getaway for knitters, and I was the featured t-shirt. It's seriously a great gig. So in their mill, they design and spin and dye their own yarns, and the yarns are, I can't pick an adjective, beautiful, special. Those words get thrown around so much when we talk about yarn that they've lost their meaning. I guess I would just say that every yarn I've ever seen from Northlight Fibers has made me want to drop everything and knit with it right there. The last time that I taught for them on Block Island, I spent a pretty large part of my teaching fee on a sweater quantity of their stuff. I'm supposed to make money on teaching trips, but where's the fun in that? So I've been working on some other things too, like this. Okay, this is a new design in my Society 6 online shop that I drew when I was experimenting with some new brush techniques. And I liked it enough that I decided to put it on bags and mugs and t-shirts and stuff. But unfortunately, I have to tell you that amid all of this fun and productivity, I have also hit a wall. And the wall is made of yarn. Actually, it's more than a wall. It's a bunch of walls. A bunch of walls surrounding me with no evident path of escape. You might say like a labyrinth. And I might say that that makes me a minotaur, but honestly, I should be so lucky as to have abs like that. Oh, yes, I was talking about yarn. Yarn. Walls and walls of yarn. That's what I was talking about. So, okay, yeah. Like a whole lot of people I know, I have been trying to pare down my possessions a little bit. Keep what I need and what I love, and send the rest out into the world where maybe it's going to do someone some good. It has seemed to me like I've been doing pretty well with that. The apartment and the workroom, for that matter, looking lighter, roomier. I will have you know that I have even, for the first time in my entire life, deaccessioned a large quantity of the books in my library. At least I measured 20 linear feet of books. 20 linear feet. Now, I still have several thousand books, but it's something, right? It's something. I even had to buy a bookend. I've never needed to buy a bookend before. I never had a shelf that wasn't stuffed. Those of you who also have similar book issues will know the feeling. So I've been feeling all virtuous and floaty, and like I'm ready to move into one of those houses that's nothing but a cube of whitewashed walls and floor, and there's one simple wooden table with one bowl and one spoon, and that's all. Right? And then, okay, you won't judge me, right? Right? Okay, but I'm not going ahead until you swear that you won't judge me before I go on. We're good? All right. So I'm feeling swell about all of this. And then a few nights ago, a big, close thud woke me up at about 3 a.m. And it seemed like it was almost next to the bed. I mean, certainly inside the apartment. So I don't mind admitting to you, I was a little freaked out. I got up and cautiously looked around, wondering, can I disarm a burglar by throwing my copy of the Principles of Knitting at his head? And I didn't find anything at all. All the doors, windows still locked, nobody in evidence. So I went back to bed. But the next day, I went into the little tiny workspace that I have at the apartment, and there's this board, quite a large board, with a whole bunch of big, strong metal hooks on it, attached to the wall. And when I say attached, I mean with heavy screws and anchors. And on those hooks, I keep the bags that contain all of my current works in progress. And the weight of the works in progress had pulled the board right out of the wall. Now, listen, I am as fond of real-life metaphors as the next boy, but that's a little on the nose. I get it. I get the message from the universe. So clearly, I am not doing as well in all areas as I had thought I was. It is time, and I can't put this off anymore, it is time for a serious stash toss. There's just too much fibery goodness in here. Too much yarn. And you may joke and say, oh, ha ha ha, no such thing as too much yarn, but honey, organic merino is not so much fun when your pile of it collapses and buries you deep, and they have to call an earth mover in to get you out alive. Right? I have never really weeded out my stash, and it's time. It's high time. It's past time. And I'm going to have to make some difficult choices. I accept that. Simple fact is, I have so much in such a small space that, and this is sad, I can't care for it all properly. I can't find what I need easily, even with the database that I keep. I'm not always sure what's in there and what's where. And when your yarn supply grows so abundant that you can't move your arms enough to knit anymore, something must be done. Now, of course, I am still a novice YouTuber. This channel is young. But I have learned from others that what you out there all really enjoy watching is people suffer. So I'm going to throw off what remains of my personal shame and reticence and record my stash clearance on video. I predict that this is going to play out like a mix of cringe comedy and a very special episode of The Walking Dead. And so you will be able to watch and sort stash along with me and laugh or cry. Your choice. I won't judge. Until next time, enjoy what you're working on and be good to yourself, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel so you'll be the first to know about future episodes. Click like or leave me a comment to let me know your thoughts. And if you really, really liked what you saw, check out my Patreon campaign, where my patrons enjoy exclusive access to downloads, live streams, and other bonus material every week.